in this module, I want you to turn to the page in your manual that talks about the physical, non-physical circle. So if you haven't been there, I will give you a minute. So turn to that page, hit pause, and turn to the page, and then come back. Okay, so physical, non-physical circle. So we've talked about your focus, notice, awareness circle, remember, and the two most important things about that is whatever we focus on gets bigger, right? Whether we like it or whether we extremely don't like it, if you're focusing on it, it gets bigger. And of course then the converse is true as well, right? In that whatever we don't focus on gets smaller. And as I talked about, where is that place, that state of awareness, if you will, that without doing anything, we will naturally start to heal? Well, that's in this present moment, right? And one of the very powerful things about Reiki is Reiki, in a very effective, efficient, therefore fast way, brings us to this present moment. So that's so important. We got to get to the spot, thinking of our coffee shop, right? We have to get to the table where they're serving what we're looking for, which is healing, growing, expanding, right? So the present moment. Okay, so what does a present moment look like? Okay, so you'll see a diagram in your manual that looks something like this. Oh, new marker, lid's tight. So, a circle that looks like this. Okay, there's a band in the center that looks like this. And then there's another circle that looks like this, right? So, what I want you to do is I want you to label this one. We're going to call it physical. I'm just going to use the letter P, but you can write out the word if you want. I'm going to label it P for physical, all right? And I'm going to label this one non-P for non-physical, okay? Now, what do I mean by that? Often I find in this whole energy genre, often we talk about our physical world, and then we talk about our energetic world, or we talk about energy like somehow it's different, or it's some other place, right, other than here. And of course, as all of us know from high school science, this marker, it's energy too, right? It's made up of atoms and subatomic particles and all that kind of stuff that's vibrating at frequencies. And the only reason that we see it, I can feel it, I can taste it, right, as a physical object, is because it's vibrating at frequencies that I experience in my physical world. So for clarity purposes, in this present moment, so you could take this circle here, use a different color, this circle here, and we're going to label this circle present moment. So this is a map of the present moment. Where's the present moment? Well, for me, it's right here in my office in the teaching room here. For you, it's wherever you happen to be watching this video from, right? It's this moment. This is the present moment, right? So in the present moment, there are two neighborhoods or hemispheres, right? Not two different places. That's the thing. Two different neighborhoods in the same city, we could call it. One neighborhood called physical, and one that's called non-physical. And you see, that's what's important to remember, is just because it's non-physical doesn't mean it's non-real or non-relevant. Okay, so that's the important thing here, okay? We don't have a physical, we don't have an energetic somewhere else. It's all energy. We just experience it in two basic different ways, okay? So, the building materials, right, that build our physical world, of course, are our five senses, right? So like I said, with this marker, so what fits in here? Well, this marker, the floor that I'm standing on, really everything that we experience with our five senses, okay? The building materials of this one is our thoughts, Okay, so now this is what I mean by just because it's non-physical doesn't mean it's non-real. I think we can all agree that you can't take a thought and put it on a scale or take its temperature, but just because it's non-physical doesn't mean it's non-real or non-relevant, right? Now, if we are in any of the downtown cores in any of the larger cities in the physical, right? If we wandered around, chances are pretty good that we're going to run into Starbucks, right? So what are some of the landmarks you'll often see in the physical? Well, let's say Starbucks, right? What are the landmarks that you will often see in your non-physical? Well, these guys. Memories, right? And again, I think we can all agree that while you can't take a memory, again, put it on a scale and weigh it or take its temperature, just because it's non-physical doesn't mean it's non-real or non-relevant. And in many ways, this is more relevant than this is, right? We all have those memories that feel very, very real, don't they? Even though they happened 10 minutes, 10 days, 10 weeks, 10 years ago. Those memories still feel very real. And I tell you, in some cases, they'll often feel more real than this, don't they? Right? So it's important to remember and to understand the landscape in which we work. Because if we understand the landscape and all the connections and all the processes, I find then when we're doing our self-treatments, we're so much more effective because we have an understanding of what we're doing. Right? We're not just doing them because it says you're supposed to do them in the page whatever in our manual. See the difference? Okay. So our physical, our non-physical, and then there's this. So I call this one our I am place. So what do I mean by that? Well, the you that's you. Right? Your soul, your spirit, your higher self. I really don't care what label you use, right? So if you look at the present moment, in this present moment, there are basically three distinct regions. There's the physical world, right? And so one aspect of the physical world, of course, is your physical body, right? As well as your physical surroundings, right? There's your thoughts, and there's memories that we find in our thoughts, and then there's you. So body, mind, spirit. Okay, so for our purposes here, the landscape that we're working with, the landscape that you're working with, when you're working with yourself and really any of the experiences you have, it fits in one of these three places. Okay, now, there's something that I call it a creative flow. We talk about flow now in your manual. And we talk about a flow that goes this way. It goes from here down to here. And in your manual, one of the labels I give it, I actually call it Victor, as in victory, right? Your victor flow, right? You're the victor in this flow. So the flow goes this way, right? So this is what this looks like. I, the you that's you, right, can manage my thoughts, my memories, and therefore influence my physical world. So in essence, you choose to define who you are. Now, most people, the flow, rather than going this way, the flow goes this way. In your manual, I call this victim, right? So this is the flow that most people find themselves in. So what does this flow look like? This flow basically says my physical circumstances dictate, determine the thoughts that I think, and therefore define who I am. Right? Now you see the difference? This flow, I choose who I am. I manage my thoughts, my memories, and therefore influence or affect my physical circumstances. Victor flow. Victim flow, basically what we're saying is that I'm choosing to be a victim, if you will, of my physical circumstances and my memories. These define who I am. So, in order for me to be healthy, my physical body, in this case, and my thoughts and memories have to tell me that I am. You see the difference? Big, big difference. We are very much a victim of our physical circumstances and our thoughts and our memories, right? So we've given all the control to choose, using our physicality now, whether we are healthy or whether we are not healthy. We've given that decision not to us, but to this. Now, why does that make all the difference in the world? Well, this hemisphere, our five senses world, this is the hemisphere where we have least control, right? And we've all had these experiences, haven't we? Where things have happened here without our prior notification, without our approval, right? This is the hemisphere where stuff happens, doesn't it? Yes? So, in a really crazy way, what we're doing is we're giving the ultimate power, if you will, to choose who we are to the one area of our experience that we have the least control. Right? Kind of sucks when you think about it, right? The only way I can feel healthy is when my body tells me this. The only way I can feel wealthy is when my bank account tells me this, right? So you see how that flow goes? Now, where does Reiki come into this? Well, this is one of the things that's so cool about Reiki. When you're doing your self-treatments, right, which is where we're working towards, when you're doing your self-treatments, it puts you in this flow, right? See, this is why for me, this is one of the game changers, is when you're running energy, Reiki in this case, what it does is it puts you in this flow, not this flow, right? Now, one of the other reasons why that's important, referring back to our focus, notice, awareness, when we are in this flow, so when I say we, who am I talking about? You, the you that's you, right? When we are in this flow, we are in, I'll abbreviate, we're in the present moment, right? Everything's flowing. When we're on this flow, we tend to be in these one of two places, and that's past or future, right? So remember I talked about in our focus, notice, awareness circle, how we need to get to that present moment spot, right? So what this does is this brings us to the present moment and really puts us in the flow. Because what I find is people that are in this one, they tend to be very much past future referenced, I guess, if you will. I'm not saying, again, that's a bad thing. But if we're stepping into healing, growing, and expanding, this is the first step. Okay? All right. So, a Reiki practitioner looks at really anything here. So whether it's an issue with your physical body, with your relationship issues, finances, really anything in our physical world, we look at this as the last step that had the first step here, okay? So we say that the original trauma or imbalance, or we call it root cause, right? So the root cause is always felt here first, then over a period of time, and we can label this buffer now time, over a period of time shows up in our physical surroundings, right? So the initial trauma or root cause is always felt in the non-physical first, then over a period of time shows up into the physical. So we see this hemisphere, right? Not saying it's not real, but we see this hemisphere as being the effect that has the cause up here, right? Cause, effect. Now, Why is this important? And why is getting in this flow important? Well, I said this is the hemisphere where we have least control, right? Well, guess what? This is the hemisphere here where we have total control. Okay, I know what you're saying, all right? No way. I don't have control of my memories. Like, they run me, right? You're saying, there's no way I've got total control here. Sometimes they chase me around like a fox chasing a rabbit kind of thing. And you're exactly true. But what that means is, you're in this flow. You see? You see, the issue is not that we can't achieve total control here. The issue is that direction of flow. The issue is for so many people, they live in this flow. And if you live in this flow, this relationship is basically reversed. Right? This is the cause, this is the effect. And when you're in that flow, you bet you are essentially controlled or identified by your memories. Especially the traumatic ones. Right? So if you look at this model, root cause period of time manifests here in the physical, that means that the root cause has to be something that happened in the past or one of these guys, right? A memory. So for us as practitioners, and I'm not so much saying the one-ofs, the just sort of the one-oopsies here, but if it's a theme, so not the person that gets sick once, but the person that's always sick. Not the person that's broke once, or the person but the person that's always broke. Not the one that's in a dysfunctional relationship once, but the one that's always in it. So the themes in a person's life, you can bet money they're being created or instigated or caused by a memory or memories here. So what's important to remember is that if it's a physical, if it's emotional, if it's, again, relationship, anything like that, I'm not saying it's not real, and it doesn't seem very powerful, and that doesn't seem really powerful, right? But for me, and this is one of the areas that may be a little bit of a step, maybe a huge leap, is when we change this direction of flow, and for our purposes here, Reiki is a really handy tool for doing that. It starts to put us back in control, or to regain that ability to start to manage or heal these. Why is Reiki so effective? Because Reiki is a non-physical healing modality. You see, when you're running energy, right? When you're doing your self-treatment, so where is that energy flowing, and where's that processing and healing happening? Well, it's not happening here so much, right? It's happening here. But of course, what we know, cause and effect, right? That if we change the cause, the effect with mathematical certainty will change too. Again, now why is this a game changer? Because no matter how solid, how long, how rigid, how difficult it may seem to change this, thank goodness we don't have to change it. These people do, right? But we don't have to. Because what we're changing, we're working, we know this is just an effect. You change the cause, what has to happen to the effect with mathematical certainty, right? It will change. It doesn't matter how long this effect has been here, how difficult we decide it is, how it has the appearance of being rigid and solid. It's an effect. When you change the cause, the effect will change to suit. For me, and I've been doing this for a while, Reiki still is my go-to healing modality because I found it's one of the most effective ways to get us into this flow. So now we're in the place that healing, growing, evolving will naturally occur. Now when we introduce this flow, doing your self-treatments, right, what it does is it works here and it starts to heal the root causes. See? See, and the neat thing about this is we don't have to know what every one of these root causes are. Some we probably do, but there's probably a lot we don't know. But the beauty of this is we don't have to. Because when you're in the present moment, when you're running energy, what Reiki is doing is it's working in here and it's releasing, healing these traumatic memories, root causes. That's really all we care about. as long as we're in the right place, present moment, we're introducing this catalyst to support this healing. Really, that's all that matters. Because then, of course, as this is healed, this follows suit. And I think that's one of the things that often trips people up. They go, okay, I need to change this, so I have to figure out what the problem is. Well, remember what we said? Whatever you focus on gets bigger. So the people go, I need to find this, to fix this, to study this, so that I can change this. But of course, whatever you focus on gets bigger. Now, I'm not saying that it's not valuable to have an understanding of this landscape. Not saying that at all, or awareness of it. But for me, our focus is always on an understanding or an awareness of the problem, right? But our focus is always on introducing the solution, right? When you introduce the solution, the rest tends to take care of itself. It really doesn't have to be any more complicated than it needs to be, although we really have a tendency to do that. Okay? So, focus, notice, awareness circle, right? And again, you can, it talks a lot about this in your manual. You can, of course, refer back to it. Please do. There's a lot of value in this one picture. It's something that really warrants studying and thinking about and applying it, right? Your whole, your spirit, thoughts, your memories, physical world, Victor flow, Reiki flow, victim flow, cause effect. Here, cause effect. We want to get in this flow. When we're in this flow, brings it to the present moment, initiates the healing process. Just keep that up. The rest will take care of itself, right? Okay, see you in the next module.